Hi guys, welcome back to Flora Fun and Food. My name is Lauren and today I'm going to show you how to make resin earrings using butterfly wings. Let's go. Here is the butterfly we're going to be using for this project. So I'm going to very carefully cut it out of its packaging. These are really fragile, so just be really careful. You know, you can break the wings pretty easily. Now we're going to use some embroidery scissors because they're really small and pointy and they just work a lot better than thicker scissors. And I'm just going to cut right at the edge of the wings up next to the body like that on both sides. And then I'm going to discard the body because there's really not much I can do with that. I did save the little antenna. Maybe we can do something with those. Now I have a laminating sheet. Butterfly wings tend to go a little transparent when you put them in resin. I'll show you this one here. You can kind of see through it. And so I kind of did some research and found out you can laminate them and it holds the color and integrity of it. So we're gonna open this pouch up. Then we're just gonna place our wings onto the laminating pouch. I'll do the antenna too because I have them. I'm gonna be really careful because they break really easily. And now these are kind of like static clingy, so when you lay it down, just lay it down quick. And then we're gonna flatten it out and get all the air out. And then we're just gonna feed it through the laminator. And now they are protected under plastic. Now I'm just gonna cut off the extra so it's easier to work with on my workstation here. Then we're gonna take our bezels. I'm using these teardrop shapes and we're gonna just figure out kind of what we want. So I'm gonna line them up on here and decide how I want them. I kind of like this really pretty dot right in the middle. Next up, I'm gonna trace my shape. I'm gonna use this fine tip Sharpie. As long as you wipe it off really quickly, it won't stay there, but I need to invest in some very fine tip dry erase markers because that would be best. So I'm just gonna hold the bezel down where I want it and trace my shape like that. Again, just cutting these apart to make it easier to work with. We'll save the big wings for another one. And now I'm just gonna cut right along my line very gently. The lamination also makes these way easier to work with. I did it without, and you can't even really touch the wings without them disintegrating. So the lamination just makes this way easier. So now I'm gonna try and just wipe off any marker that might be left. Now these can delaminate because they're not totally adhered to the butterfly wings, so just be careful. Next up, I'm going to get my resin tape ready. This is specifically made for resin, but you can just use packing tape. It's basically the same thing. So I just like to cut off a strip and then I fold a piece over just so I have something to hold on to and move without it sticking to my fingers. And then we're just going to stick the bezels onto our tape here and push them down. And then I'm going to use this UV resin. So we're just going to do one layer first as our base layer, as the back. So I'm going to squeeze in enough resin to coat the sides and just make a small layer. We don't want to fill it too full because we need to do this in 3 layers. So just getting the resin to just kind of coat the surface and touch the sides. Now if you have bubbles, you can just kind of wait until they rise to the top and then you can take a toothpick or a needle or something and just pop them, or you can use a heat gun and heat up the bubbles and they will pop at the surface, but don't heat it up too much because it will make your resin very watery and it can leak out of the back. Trust me, it's not fun. It's very messy. So I'm going to turn this just on low for a second and just blow it onto our resin and pop those bubbles. Next up, we're going to use a UV light like this. It's used for nails, but we're going to stick our pendants under there and turn this on for at least 2 minutes, maybe 3 if it still looks a little tacky. Once it's done, we're going to take it back out, and we are going to add another very, very thin layer of resin to act like the glue for our wing. So again, getting it to touch all the sides and fill in the surface, but don't overdo it because you have to add another layer. And if you overflow, it gets very messy. Again, I'll use the heat gun to get rid of any bubbles. And then I find it easier to use a little pair of tweezers to kind of set these in place. But I'm just gonna lightly set them down like that. Then I take a Q-tip and gently push them down into the resin, trying to smooth out any bubbles that might be hiding behind it. Now I can tell my lamination definitely delaminated because it's starting to turn translucent on the side. So this might be a fail, but I will show you what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to carefully flip this over and put the light back on it for a couple minutes. Now our light is done. We're going to flip it back over. Yeah, see, it's getting really transparent around the side. So this isn't my favorite, but we're not going to waste it. So we're going to add our final layer of resin on top, and I go right up to the edge of the metal, and I kind of touch the top of the metal just so that it totally seals it in. And then I like to kind of bubble it up, but again, don't use too much or it gets crazy messy. And then you have a lot of extra steps to fix it. You can fix it, but it takes a Dremel and all kinds of stuff. So we'll do it to the second one here, and then we'll cure it again. Okay, so now we're gonna peel these off of the tape, and I'm gonna flip them to the back. This step is totally optional, but I like to add another layer to the back just to help it kind of look more bubbled up and kind of 3D, so it's not so flat on the bottom or on the back. So we're just gonna do one more layer, same as we did on the front. See how the tape helps? It makes it so it doesn't move around like this on you. One more round of the heat gun, and then one more round under the light. Alrighty, let's take a look at these. So let me put a piece of paper under it. As you can see, they kind of got transparent on the edges, but it looks okay actually. To help prevent that, I have found that if you laminate it a couple of times, like you send it back through the laminator a few times, it does help adhere it a little bit better to the wings. But I really don't think these look bad now that I have the resin done and see them on the backdrop here. So next up, we are going to put the earrings together. Now I have these really pretty gold beads that are kind of hollow with a design, and I think they would look really pretty with this particular wing. So I'm gonna use those, and then I need 2 eye pins, and then I need 2 leverback earring hooks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add one of my beads to my eye pin here, and then I'm gonna use my loop pliers here to create another loop, and it cuts off the extra. We'll do the same to the other one here. And I'm turning this perpendicular. So see how the loop is here? I turn it upwards so that the next loop is the opposite way because of how I have to attach these. You can always use pliers and just kind of twist them to make them line up the way you want, but I find that easier. Now I'm going to open up the loop on top and thread my earring hook through it, and then we will just take the pliers and close it back up. Same on the other one. Now we're going to open up the bottom loop and put our pendant on, and then close it up, and again repeat it for the other one. And there we have our final product. I really love the dainty beads with this color of wing. Let me show you the other ones I've made. Here are the other ones I've made. I think my favorite are these hexagon ones. They have dyed agate beads. It's got kind of like a teal color in the wing. I also really like this one with the same beads here, but I just love the shape of this one. This one is using chandelier crystals. This one's using mother of pearl moon beads and just some fun little danglies, but these have been so fun to play around with and experiment with. So you know, if you want to give this a try, it's really not that hard. You just need to practice. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and head over to my channel to subscribe for more content like this. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.